It's time to wake up, witches. I'm your host, Kat Adams, and I'm here to remind you that no matter where you're at in life, you're not stuck. See, I told you this podcast was going to get better. How did you like that new intro? I thought it was pretty awesome myself. You'll have to stay tuned to the end of the episode so you can hear my new outro. And it took me forever to make these, so I really hope they're on the level of standard that you want to hear in this podcast. So now that you have heard the fancy new intro, I've done my wake up witches spiel, I want to talk about self-care because that's the topic today. And what kind of led me to wanting to talk about this was I got a new tarot card deck, and it's made by the Pine Torch. I'm not affiliated with them at all, but they are amazing. They make t-shirts, they make mugs, and they have this tarot deck set that is so freaking awesome. It's so funny. It's my sense of humor. It's got like skeletons and stuff. It's got this one skeleton, and it's a dude, and he's like hiking his leg up, and he's got acorns for balls, and it's called the Two of D's. It's freaking hilarious. So I was like, you know what? I have to do a series on these cards because some of them are super important, and I think I can talk a lot about some of these while keeping it funny and fun. So today we're talking about self-care because one of their cards is called the High Priestess. And I'll post a picture of this card on my Instagram, but let me read it to you real quick. It says, the amazing High Priestess luxuriating in a clawfoot tub, enjoying her nighttime ritual is the ultimate symbol of self-care. It says, your message is, are you getting lost in the weeds, literally and figuratively? What lights you up? Haha. Because if you check out this card, it's a woman token away in a fancy claw-footed bathtub. So it says, because it's time to focus on what gives you a high and tune out the rest. This card is here to remind you to nurture what brings you joy and let go of the rest. This is your time to fine-tune your goals and rekindle your passions. Great message. Funny picture. What more could you ask for? And I also have a nighttime ritual that I've started to implement this year, going back to like dark doo-doo energy and all that jazz. I incorporated a self-care Sunday to my routine this year. And I know self-care gets so much hate, and I'm freaking sick of it. I am so sick of hearing the hate for basic witch shit. There is so much hate for, oh my gosh, you like pumpkin spice. You're such a basic witch. Or, oh my gosh, you like, I don't know, fedora hats, whatever's popular. If it's trending, if you like it, it's like you're crucified. Who cares? Who cares? I love me some basic witch shit. I really do. And if you're listening to this and you're like, yeah, I can't stand those people who want to crucify people who like things that might be trending or who like things that you don't like. And if you think you don't do that, let me ask you a question. What do you say when someone tells you they like their steak well done? Exactly. There was a point in my life that I stopped ordering steak because every time I ordered steak in front of someone, I was like, hey, I like my steak well done. Oh my gosh, are you kidding? You're ruining the steak. What's wrong with you? You're such a horrible person. We all like different things. We need to stop judging ourselves and other people for it. Like, really, come on. Who cares if you like pumpkin spice? Who cares if you like your steak well done? So I'm going to talk about some basic witch self-care and one of my favorite self-care Sunday rituals. And the reason self-care is so important when you're trying to get unstuck from your situation is because you cannot reach your goals unless you take care of yourself first. It is just like in the airplane when they're like, hey, put that whatever plastic thing on your mouth before you put it on your kids. Otherwise, you both gonna die. It is the exact same concept. You're not going to help yourself and you're not going to help anyone else until you start taking care of yourself. And that can come in so many different forms. It doesn't have to be basic witch stuff. You can like something off the wall. Maybe you have a hobby of like, I don't know, collecting crocheted frogs or something, and you like to go thrift shopping for it, and that's your self-care thing. Go for it. Just take that time out to take care of yourself. It is absolutely crucial. And as I'm recording this, I just finished a self-care thing I do in the warmer months, and it is pulling weeds because it is a mundane task that I don't have to use my brain for because I'm constantly having to use my brain and do critical thinking stuff and creative thinking stuff. And I don't have to do any of that. And I usually don't even use headphones or listen to music. I listen to the birds. Today I heard a hawk and I saw it flying around. It's pretty cool. My house does back up to a small lake. So I have that advantage of having a very tranquil space. I'm very lucky to have a very tranquil space that I go to. And I like to pull weeds in it because I am an overachiever and I have to keep myself busy. I rarely go out there just to relax. I usually have to be doing something. It's either pulling weeds or it's planting flowers, but that's part of my self-care. Like I take that time for myself to just tune everything out and pull some weeds. Bonus, my yard is looking pretty damn good. So you don't have to pull weeds if pulling weeds isn't your thing. I just like to be outside and I like to be in the quiet and not in front of a screen, which you'll remember we talked about that dark doo-doo energy. Get off your phones. That's a form of self-care. Don't pick up your phone the first thing in the morning. Don't use your phone right before you go to bed. Like get out from under the screen. And speaking of that, I was really hoping to talk about self-care and how part of my self-care is I'm quitting TikTok because I made that decision this week because I made a video for TikTok weeks ago. It took me probably like 2 or 3 hours to make one tiny stupid video and it put me in the worst mood. I don't like TikTok. It's bad for my mental health. So I was like, you know what? I'm going to tell everybody part of my self-care is getting rid of TikTok. But then I found an app called Headliner and it takes my podcast and basically with the click of a button, it repurposes my content. So I can make like snippets for Instagram Reels and also TikTok. And now I'm like, that didn't really take any time out of my day. So now I don't know. I cannot promise you that, but that is one form of self-care. If you find yourself addicted to TikTok, get off TikTok. If something isn't serving you, get rid of it. If something's screwing up your mental space, get rid of it. And I struggle with that. I know I struggle with that. And I talk about it a lot. It's the TikTok thing. So we'll see. No promises on there. But there's plenty of ways to self-care. One I'm a fan of is treat yourself. Go buy you something. Buy you new bedding so you look forward to getting into bed at night, or even a new pillowcase. If you're like, man, I don't have money for satin sheets. Go buy a pillowcase. I was actually just looking at silk pillowcases, fake silk pillowcases on Amazon. It was like $11. So buy yourself something. Buy yourself a coffee. Buy yourself an ice cream. Buy yourself a Basic Witch pumpkin spice and just don't down it. Just sip, savor, and check in with yourself because that's what it's all about. It always comes back to self. You have to come back to self if you want to get ahead. If you want to get unstuck, you're going to have to come back to yourself. So do whatever you need to do that. Some other examples of self-care that will hopefully bring you back to self would be stop rushing. Stop rushing through life. Going back to sipping that pumpkin spice. Stop rushing. You do have time for things. Don't tell yourself you don't. You have time. Stop rushing. Stop creating yourself anxiety. Stop adding stuff to your plate. You don't have to do it all. That is absolutely a form of self-care. Slow down. Practice gratitude. I have a gratitude journal. I am journaling in it every single morning, and it really does the trick. I know everyone's like, oh, gratitude is one of those basic witch things, right? But it works. The times I don't write my gratitude journal, I feel like a bitch. I am in a horrible mood. So definitely practice gratitude. Meditate. I do it not as often as I should. But let me tell you, when I do make it a priority to meditate every single day, I have some magical ish happening in my life, and I don't know how else to explain it. It's always when I'm in a meditation cycle and I'm actually committing to that. I'm not the best at it though. I'm not going to lie. Try to be authentic as possible on this podcast and in my life. And I go through phases. So if that is a form of self-care for you, make it a priority. YouTube has some amazing self-guided meditations. They have some where it's like, sit back and relax. I'm going to take you through the Shire. You are a hobbit. Let's get into your head and let's just go party with Gandalf. Seriously, it's amazing. Meditation isn't always like, oh, let me just be quiet. And I think that's where I struggle with it. I don't like the quiet. I don't. I need something in the background. So like meditation singing bowls, love that. And again, those guided meditations, just look it up on YouTube. There's all kinds of amazing meditations out there. And you can do 5-10 minute self-care session. If you're telling yourself you don't have time, because remember, you're rushing through life, pencil in 5-10 minutes. And while you're penciling in that, also pencil in something fun. Pencil in fun and laughter. You need to laugh. I recommend a rom-com. And that was absolutely a shameless plug. Absolutely a shameless plug. So pick up a rom-com or watch a rom-com. The funniest movie I've seen, and this is so sad, they just don't make comedies like they used to. But the funniest movie I seen was a couple years ago. I don't know if it's still on Netflix, but it's called The Other Missy. Oh my gosh. Seriously, that is the funniest movie I've seen in years. And it came out years ago because they just don't make stuff like they used to. Sometimes I will, though, watch stand-up comedy on Netflix, and that always makes me laugh too. So pencil in laughter, pencil in fun. What do you think is fun? You probably don't think pulling weeds is fun. I do. Maybe your idea of fun is going to go grab a drink with a friend or go grab a coffee with a friend or just go by yourself. Maybe you don't like your friends. But then if you don't like your friends, I don't know why you're hanging out with them, but you get the gist. You need to pencil in some time to laugh and have fun. Absolutely. That is crucial. Go to museums, learn something, pick up a self-growth book. That is imperative, especially if you can't afford therapy. Everyone, I hear this a lot. I can't afford to go to therapy. I get it. I was there too, and I couldn't afford to go to therapy. I read a shit ton of self-help books. Do it. Go to the library. You can get them for free. Buy yourself some flowers, cuddle a pet. I'm going through a list. If it sounds like I'm reading a list, it's because I am reading a list. Call your mama. Call your mama. Unless you got beef with your mama, then don't call your mama. Declutter and clean your space. You should have done this in that episode of getting rid of the dark doo-doo energy. You should be spring cleaning by now or done with it. Definitely decluttering helps me. It feels good. It feels like I have a weight off my shoulders when I declutter. I'm like, hey, there's that missing pan from 10 years ago that's all scratched up, hidden behind the stove. Throw it away. Dust. Personally, I freaking love surrounding myself in beautiful aesthetics. My house and my environment is very, very important to me. I love to design, like interior design is my thing. Art, love it. So I have to create a beautiful space for myself or I can't relax. I'm super stressed. Same with the outside. Like I need outdoor living because I love getting into nature and walking. That's another form of self-care I use. If you want to steal that, go ahead. I highly recommend stepping outside and going for a hike or just a walk, whatever, or just sitting and drink your coffee. Go drink a cocktail on the patio, listen to some live music or just listen to Spotify on your phone or hey, listen to this podcast. Anything like that is definitely going to help you, but make it a beautiful space. Make it a beautiful space. Plant some flowers or buy a potted plant. I'm getting into houseplants. I don't know. I think that happens when you're approaching 40, but put some greenery somewhere. Paint your walls. Paint costs next to nothing. Paint your walls a fresh new color. I have a room upstairs that used to be our workout room, and we recently decided to make it into a dark academia vampire lounge because why not? And at first we were like, but then we'd have to move the workout equipment to the guest room. And I only have a guest maybe twice a year. And I'm like, you know what? I don't care. I'm not going to waste a whole room that we use 2 times a year and not get my vampy lounge, because I'm a grown up and you can do whatever you want. There's no rules saying you have to have a guest room. You can have a vampire lounge instead of a guest room. Hey, you know what? It's part of my self-care. So we recently redid an entire room, thrifted it, by the way, to a vampire lounge. And now we go up there and we chill out and we light some candles. And that's also part of our self-care while being aesthetically pleasing, because I am a big fan of doing that. So change your space up. Go thrift some cool, antique books and some candles and put them on your desk and get all spooky and shit. That's fun. It's self-care. And it's self-care because you're making yourself happy. You're doing something for you. And when you have your environment stress-free, clutter-free, beautiful, where you need it to be, even if it's just, hey, adding like a fresh bouquet of flowers on your desk, something that's going to inspire you to create is also going to go a long ways in your self-care rituals. I didn't even know creating things was a form of self-care until I wrote 19 books, and it was my therapy. Absolutely, writing fiction is my therapy. My passion is women empowerment. My therapy is writing fiction. So create something, write in your journal, create a new recipe, use your brain power to do something you enjoy, or learn something new while creating. Learn how to make music, create a song, write a poem, just create, get that creative juice in your brain flowing. Because I promise you that is a form of therapy. I learned it, like I said, after 3 years of doing it. And I was like, wow, that helped me so freaking much. You best bet I was writing down everything I was going through after my divorce and putting it in books. Did I meet this douchebag on Tinder? Guess what? You going in a book. Oh, he said what? Guess what? That's going in a book. It is therapy. It's therapy. I highly recommend it. So get out there, create, and make something. It doesn't only have to be brain power. Go plant a garden, make a garden, create a garden, plant some witchy herbs, and then dry them out and use them to hex somebody. I'm just kidding. That got dark real quick, didn't it? Kidding. Maybe. One last thing before we jump into my ritual, and that is a form of self-care can be preparing for what comes next. And I don't mean that in like a big, deep way. I mean it in organizing your calendar. So you're not so stressed out. Organize your calendar. Organize it for the next week. Write down everything that you're going to get done. But at the end of those days, write down what you accomplished, because that's going to make you even feel better. Meal prep. Prepare for next week by meal prepping. So I don't know if you know this or not, but I was a personal trainer before I was a writer, and fitness and nutrition has always been very, very important to me. So I do use meal prepping a lot on Sundays or even Saturdays. We'll grill out a whole bunch of chicken or steak or whatever you want, veggie burgers. Prepare that in every single meal you're going to eat throughout the next 5 days, breakfast, lunch, dinner. That way you're not starving and grabbing a bag of chips and mindlessly eating it. Now you have healthy chicken and broccoli already ready for you. I love meal prepping. It's just another way of self-care. Prepping, organizing, getting your shit together, basically. Getting your shit together is self-care. And while you're meal prepping, go for a workout. I know I mentioned walking, but hey man, pump some iron, lift some weights. Big fan of that too. I love strength training. It makes me feel like a badass bitch. And what other workout made me feel like a badass bitch? Pole dance. We had a pole fitness studio open, I want to say it was probably 10 years ago. And I was one of the first ones there. It's since closed, but I poled, and I still do on occasion. I have been now, I guess, for 10 years. I don't do it every week. I try to do it once a week just so I can keep up with my tricks. But if you have never tried pole fitness, pole dance, whatever you want to call it, do not let me get on that stripper pole soapbox, because it is not a stripper pole. It's not a stripper pole. No, it's not a stripper. I did pole. It was so empowering. Try it. If you have a pole studio near you, try it. It will make you feel amazing, and it will make your body look amazing. I freaking love pole dance, pole fitness, whatever. So that is another form of fitness you can do. If you do decide to try a class, you'll have to check in with me and let me know how it goes, because I see so many women go to those classes and make friends, and they have their girl gang, and it's so empowering to see women coming together to do something like that and support one another, especially because when I was doing it, I was shamed. Oh my gosh, I was shamed. It took me, I think, 2 years probably to come out of the pole closet. And for years after, I was shamed for like having a pole in my house and blah, blah, blah. Now I don't give two shits. I don't give two shits when anybody thinks about me. But I went through a phase like that, and it was nice to have a group of like-minded, supportive women. And I always find those at pole studios. I'm sure there's some pole women out there who are catty or whatever, but in my experience, pole people are the best. They're going to support you. So check that out also as a form of fitness self-care. And I know you've all been waiting. You've been waiting for me to tell you about my Sunday ritual. That is a seance. Yes, it is a seance. I have a seance every single Sunday. This is the thing that I have started in 2023 after I got rid of my dark doo-doo energy. Because remember, I had some ish going on at the end of 2022. And so I started having a seance every Sunday night. And I know that sounds crazy, but what's more crazy? This is a seance I have to summon myself. And that's all self-care is. Self-care is absolutely summoning yourself. To bring it back to what I was talking about at the first of this episode, you have to have self. You have to take care of yourself. You're not going to get anywhere in life. You're not going to get unstuck. You're not going to reach your goals. You're not going to move forward in life. You're not going to get past your douchebag ex. You're not going to get out of your shitty marriage until you take care of yourself. Summon yourself. Have a seance. Let's get all woo-woo. Are you ready? Here's what I do. Because I am a basic witch, I love the aromatherapy line through Bath and Body Works. They have one that's like sage and eucalyptus. I think they have a stress relief one that's some kind of eucalyptus. Basically anything eucalyptus puts me in the relaxation mood. So I've got some eucalyptus candles. I've got eucalyptus oil I put in my diffuser, and I've got eucalyptus lotion. And I basically marinate in it. So I make sure I have that on hand. So when I summon myself, though, I'm much like the high priestess, although I'm not token away in the bathtub. I'm actually one of those people who cannot handle THC. It makes me paranoid. So yeah, kind of sucks. But I absolutely do have an amazing time in the bathtub. That sounded really creepy. You know what? I'm not even going to edit it. What I mean is I have an amazing time relaxing without having to get into the weeds. I will put some rose quartz or whatever kind of crystals I'm feeling around my bathtub. I will light all my candles around my bathtub. I'll usually put in some type of herbs, usually like a mixture that I bought either off Etsy or I made myself. It's usually like one of those self-care ritual witchy things, and it's got like chamomile in it. Or if you're trying to manifest something, it's got some kind of manifestation herbs or some kind of oils in there. And I'll usually use one of those. And one of my amazing listeners and readers who's always supported me told me recently it is pronounced sachet. So it's not a sacket. I am an idiot and it's sachet. So I will put a herbal sachet in my bath. And I hope she told me I'm saying that right. That sounds so weird. Whatever. I put a bag of herbs. We're just going with bag. Put a bag of herbs in your bathtub and stew yourself. Just stew yourself. You're stewing, you're marinating in your herbs. You got your candles, you got your crystals. Now is the time to check out. And when you have a seance, what do? You call forth, hey, cat, are you there? Can you hear me? Hey, cat, hey, cat. And that's when the magic happens. Usually, especially if it's been a tough week, I'm like, nah, bitch, I ain't here. But that's the whole purpose of this exercise, to come back to myself. So I check in with myself. You can even use this time to meditate, because it is kind of like a form of meditation. It's quiet. I don't have music going during these sessions unless I'm doing a guided meditation, but I am just quietly trying to check in with myself, see where I'm at. Am I feeling okay? Is my mental space, do I need to clean more dark doo-doo energy out? How am I feeling that day? How have I been feeling that week? What am I looking forward to? What am I not looking forward to? What do I need to do to be in the present moment? What do I need to do to get rid of something that's not serving me? I'm basically just checking in with myself. Use this time to be quiet and come back into you, especially if you've had a hard week. You could do this. You don't have to do this on Sundays. You can do this anytime you want to. You're a grown adult. At least I think if you were listening to this podcast, I hope you're a grown adult. You can do it anytime you want. It doesn't have to be on a Sunday. It can be on a Monday. It can be every day. Just summon yourself. Get back into yourself. Get back into your juju. Get back into your motivation, your positive energy, and your discipline to get unstuck. So yeah, go ahead. Have a seance for yourself. Summon that bad bitch energy. She's in there and you need her to help you get where you're going. So again, it's critical for self-care. And I look forward so much to hearing about your pole dance classes and your seances that you're having to bring yourself back to you. Cause knock, knock, bitch, I know you're in there and it's time to rise up, rise from your grave. If you've been going through the motions in life like a zombie, it's because you are a zombie. And no one wants to be a zombie. So be a witch and summon yourself. I really hope, even if you don't have a seance for yourself, out of that laundry list of stuff that I listed, one of those you can grab as an idea to help you come back into who you are, who you're working on being, and your future self, who you're going to be. Because she's going to thank you later for doing these self-care rituals, no matter how basic which they are. So I hope you can find something, whether it be meal prepping, taking a walk, pulling some weeds. Let me know how that goes. And if you don't like any of my suggestions, ask Google for some self-care tips. It's everywhere. It's a thing. That's why everyone's laughing about it being basic witch shit. But you know what? I love basic witch shit. And if you're listening to this podcast, I bet you do too. Thank you so much for listening. If you love the show, please leave a rating, a review. And if you know anyone who also might love the show or who could benefit from this information, please be sure to share it and subscribe. The more we get this out to people, the more people we can help. And I truly believe there's so many women who need to hear these words because so many women are feeling stuck. Also, if you're looking for me, you can usually find me on the gram at author Kat Adams, and be sure to head over to my website, and that's Kat Adams, Adams with a double D's.com. Subscribe to my newsletter for the latest information. Also, when you subscribe, you're going to get a free novella. And just be forewarned, my raunchy rom-com is as dirty as my mouth. So if that's your thing, go for it. It's super hilarious. But thank you again for tuning in. Until next time, please stay safe and I'll see you on the other side.